I think it's premiumization. Premiumization of what, whether it's hospitality, because it's about experience, premiumization of office space, that you want to retain and hire good talent, and office space becomes a flag bearer for getting that talent, or it is houses. And it's something which is happened post-COVID. People want bigger houses, people want houses with more amenities, people want houses which are closer. I think generally premiumization of all aspects within the real estate, I think, is a big trend.
Viral, thank you very much for being here today. You are with Knight Frank with a large responsibility. If you can start by you sharing what's your role specifically with Knight Frank here in India, and then we can go to some questions about the market, please.
Thank you very much, first of all, for having me here, and thank you to you and to GRI. I've been with Knight Frank for now close to 19 years. I've been in the real estate business for close to 25 years. My role encompasses managing all transaction services at Knight Frank, which is capital markets, industrial and logistics, office transactions, and retail. And I'm based in Bangalore, otherwise, and I oversee the pan-India market. So Knight Frank has over 8 offices across the country.
Perfect. Now, we have members from all over the world, of course, and when we talk to them what's going on here in India, some of them seem not to know exactly the numbers, the figures, and how strong the real estate market is here. How do you compare the local situation with the global outlook?
So as we speak right now, perhaps India, and one can argue, but would be the best performing real estate market in the world. And why I say so, if I were to break this into 2 large buckets as residential and commercial, it is in the first time in the last sort of 2 decades that both the residential and the commercial market are at an upswing. So we've had record levels of sales in the residential market and launches in the last 4-5 years since COVID. In fact, COVID brought about a huge surge in demand for the residential market. And on the commercial side, which is whether it's office, industrial, retail, or hospitality, we have beaten all-time high numbers. So each of the buckets, within which office is the biggest bucket, in the calendar year of 2025, we are at about 49 million square feet of office space absorption, which was equal to the whole year of 2017. And we are likely to end the year at about 85 million square feet, which would be last year, calendar year 24 was 72 million. So it's a 20% growth. And in most regions in the world, due to various reasons, the absorption of office space is actually negative, where people are still giving up space and there's hybrid, etc., etc. But given the strength of the country, and then when you have office space absorption at its peak, it is generally said that 1,000 square feet of office space or 10 square meters of office space new demand, generates a demand for 6 new homes. So in 1,000 square meters, you may have 8 to 10 new people working. So 8 to 10 new jobs, which generates a eventual demand for residential homes of 5 to 6 people. So it's a fantastic ecosystem which is evolving and thriving. And on the industrial and logistics side, given that the world post-COVID wants to diversify, and then of course what's happening with the geopolitics, you want to diversify your supply chain, and the Indian market offers a huge basket of demand given the population base of 1.4 billion, manufacturing and logistics is coming into India in a big way, leading to a surge in demand for warehousing and also manufacturing sites, which again comes back to generating residential demand, of a different kind. So that's in a very nutshell to tell you what's happening, why perhaps India is the best performing real estate market in the world by volume, of course, and we are extremely cheap, in terms of value. The office market average rents are just about $1 a square foot a month, and the warehousing and manufacturing rents are even cheaper, perhaps 20-30 cents a square foot a month. Residential market, some of the markets, minus Bombay, which is at a premium, most of the markets are extremely affordable. In fact, we just came out with a report that the affordability index, which is the ability of an individual to buy versus his salary, it's at the lowest right now.
Very interesting. Now, just make sure that I got it right. If you talk about rentals for A-class office space, either in Bangalore or in Mumbai, what would be the price per square foot or square meter?
So A-class rentals, I mean, both are completely different markets. Mumbai is more like New York or London, the CBD of Mumbai, which is the financial capital of the country. That would be trading at about $5 to $6 a square foot a month. So about $50 to $60 annually per square foot, which would be similar to some of the larger, but still cheaper than a New York and maybe the peak rents in New York and London. And for Bangalore, the same would be about $2 to $3 a square foot a month.
Perfect. Got it. Now let's talk about capital flows. We see a very interesting move from some Japanese private equity investors, also from some capital from Singapore. We see GIC very strong here. Or we can talk about some very usual suspects like Blackstone, Brookfield. These guys are very bold about India. At the same time, when I look at the size of the opportunities here, I don't see a huge number of global investors actually deploying capital. I see good volumes, but I would expect more in terms of large number of investors. First of all, is that true, or maybe I'm misleading?
It is true.
And the reasons why, please.
In fact, there's been some amount of moderation in the capital flows versus last year. And this can be attributed to various things. But two reasons that I would highlight is that the dollar appreciating against the rupee, and of course, the interest rates have been high for a long time. And that premium then sort of reduces for India on two accounts. One is, if I am getting risk-free returns today, given where the bond yields are in North America. In fact, the bond yields in India and North America have converged. The difference between the two is the narrowest. Bond yields in India are at about 6.5%, and I think the US is 4.5%. This is the biggest. I mean, in 2014, the difference was huge. I mean, 3 times, 4 times more. Now it is not too large. So from that perspective, I think that is where there has been some moderation in capital flows. But you're absolutely right. The Japanese and the Singaporean funds have come in a big way. The overall depth of the capital market has to rise. But given that the bond yields are where they are, equity markets have given fantastic returns, and hence, the capital flow somewhere have chosen not to be. As against the demand for office space, residential space, industrial and logistics space has been phenomenally high, but capital hasn't flown into India in the same velocity and manner that it has perhaps in the last few years. And maybe this a tactical temporary change, hopefully, because, the Singaporean and Japanese money is coming in a big way, and they see opportunity, and that gap is getting filled. So we see it as an opportunity where more investors, diversified investors are coming through in. And if you look at the world today, of course, there are opportunities, but there's a huge concentration that's happening, and that maybe India will be beneficiary of, that where people want to diversify.
Very interesting. Now, there are a lot of elements changing in the real estate world, not just in India, but as a sector itself. If you look at real estate as of now, it's completely changed. If you look 15 years or 10 years back, if you look at the offices sector, nowadays almost 1/3 of the offices are flexible office space. And if you look, hospitality has changed, the resi market is changing. There's so many changes happening. What do you think, or could you point to one transformation or one new trend that I know you travel the world, that you also reading and talking to occupiers, to investors from all over the world. Is there a trend that you identify, or something that if you were sitting on the developer side, the property side, you would bear in mind when running the business?
So I think the biggest trend that I can tell you, and I'll talk about India at this, my where I can safely say, I think is premiumization. Premiumization of whether it's hospitality, because it's about experience, premiumization of office space, that you want to retain and hire good talent, and office space becomes a flag bearer for getting that talent, or it is houses. And it's something which is happened post-COVID, and one can analyze to say so. But people want bigger houses, people want houses with more amenities, people want houses which are closer. I think generally premiumization of all aspects within the real estate, I think, is a big trend. So in fact, the low ticket size or affordable housing segment in India is actually struggling. So the high end and where about 10 million Indian rupees, and I'm broad basing this across because India is a very large and smaller continent than a country. There the ticket size below 10 million is not doing too well, and above, and then the limit is you also get houses above 200 million Indian rupees and etc etc. But so that is a clear trend, that premiumization. So from a supply standpoint, I think that is a huge trend that we are seeing.
A final question. Let's imagine that you are a global investor and you are trying to find the right opportunity here in India. What would be the most important thing you should do as a global investor when you want to enter India? Is there a lesson that you have seen from other investors in the past? How can they be successful?
I think it's very clear template of doing business in India is to have a great partner. I mean, and it flows across any domain of business, whether it is manufacturing or whether it is financial services. BlackRock just entered India. They've partnered with Geo. Blackstone had various partners, when they came into India, investing into commercial real estate and then, of course, into industrial and retail real estate. So they've had great partners. So I think having a fantastic partner, while you may be having capital, I think is the key. And I think that's not a secret sauce, but that is the real cue to be able to do well, perhaps not just in India, anywhere in the world.
Perfect. Viral, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. This was good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.